Welcome to the Kaizorian experience. Over here, we're going to be talking about everything African. We're going to be having debates, discussions, entertainment, as well as learning about business, art, history, and everything in between. Cultural, tribalism, and everything. We're going to be out here debating with some really interesting stuff. So, like the video, share the video, and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe for the best experience ever. This is the biggest channel on the Afrosphere. So come and join the team, become a Kaizorian, and join the Kaizorian Empire. Universally exist within myself, within this premise, and I exist within this bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like the blue in the sky. I'ma fly like bird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma throw my bluebird in the sky. I'ma soar like bluebird in the sky. I'ma soar like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fight like bluebird in the sky. I'ma eat like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be bluebird in the sky. I'ma be free, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be free like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Back again like the second coming. Strumming my vocal cords like the hummingbird in the sky. Y'all can't deny this. Real rap lyrics, it's like I ain't got no rhyming through the sky limit. What is skin tone, shade of color, but a parallel form of frequency like a ringtone on your phone. Melanin expression, tied up in the universe, feeling like God. Is this really us? Is it serious? Is it really wrong to be diverse? Am I diverge and immerse myself like an ocean beneath this waves? Be a divergent, born to be different. Indigo child, wild like canary, born to be a bluebird in the sky, flying high like a bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. Yeah, bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Everybody scream bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Yeah, bluebird in the sky. Everybody, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bone black, sweet like a berry. Flying high like a canary. Scary with my hoodie on. Hating on my vibe on the street that you'll be feeling my frequency of the song. But I know that I ain't never ever gonna be ever the same. But I know. Shalom, mother loving one. What's good? My Dusty's out there, right? Make sure you hit the like button, share, and if you're not subscribed, do it right now, right? I'm watching you. Do it right now, right? Make sure you subscribe. Today's discussion is on gender equality in Africa. Is Rwanda paving the path forward or something else, right? So we're gonna be doing our usual, right? We're gonna find a video, we're gonna analyze it, we're gonna make a commentary on it, all right? And I'm gonna share the link of the original video to make sure that we can get it all from the right place. So shout out to us, right? That's the reality of how we do it on this channel. And we're going to be able to get a little bit more information on the information that we can get from here and see if we can get a little bit more things. So shout out to us. Without further ado, well, we definitely got to go get to it. We definitely got to go and analyze the situation, right? So let's go ahead and let's analyze gender equality in Africa, right? That's the title. Let's get it.
This week on the 77% Street Debate.
There's been a radical change being a woman in this country. However, it's very important to also question exactly what does actually those numbers represent and what are the women in those seats actually doing.
7 years ago, I was like my sisters, questioning MPs. What are you coming to do? What are you doing for us?
They have to think about how much men have really struggled to put them in those places.
No, bro. The natural state of manhood is to struggle, right? Is to find strength and then find the ability for you to put yourself
in a position of power, right? So this whole idea of men this and men that, no, the man's job, natural nature of man is to struggle, right? So if you're gonna be out here making excuses, unfortunately, I cannot be on your side. I can't be on your team. Right? The natural state of man is to struggle, right? That, as I stated already, right? So no sympathy for you, bro. But anyways, we'll go ahead. Let's analyze what the other talkers are gonna say. What's their point of view? And yeah, let's go. Let's go ahead and let's get it.
You did not do everything for us. We did it. And I agree that we still have culture and norms, but you also should understand that equality means equality.
For women in politics, and that's because over 60% of parliamentarians here are women. That's compared to just over 20% globally, so you can see what the big deal is. But we're here to investigate if there's a trickle-down effect. How do the women in this country feel about that? Has there 60% of parliamentarians here Rwanda, also known as the land of 1,000 hills. More recently, it's come to be known as the best place for women in politics, and that's because over 60% of parliamentarians...
Bro. Having 60% women in parliament is mad, right? As I stated earlier, as the lady stated there, right? This is unheard of even in other countries, even in the Western countries, right? What does it really mean? 6% is crazy, right? That means women are overrepresented. That's not necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a thing that we are going to consider and we're going to analyze here, right? Let's go ahead. Let's get it.
Here are women. That's compared to just over 20% globally, so you can see what the big deal is. But we're here to investigate if there's a trickle-down effect. How do the women in this country feel about that? Has there been any...
Yep. See, look, another thing is this, right? Powerful people flock with other powerful people, whether they're women, men, children, or whatever it is, right? If you're powerful, you're not going to be dealing with the average dusty. That's the reality. So when you're looking at these situations here, right, talking about who's influencing who's in which positions and everything like that, we got to be very, very clear and analyze the situation very, very forthcoming, right? This people over here, right, participating in this region, these women, right, in these parliamentary positions, do they care about the average woman on the street? Most likely no.
Change, and what can we as the rest of the globe learn from this country? Who else to help me answer those questions but some Rwandans? And today we're going to begin with a member of parliament. Just give us a talk back in history. How did we get here?
How did we get there? It all started by political will to change things. You know, our country is marked with a dark history of genocide against Tutsi, where millions of population were killed because they were Tutsi. So when the genocide was stopped, big measures were taken to transform the country. So it started by eradicating in a country whatever discrimination exists. So it started by implementing.
Okay. I call cap, right? I feel bad for my Tutsi brothers and sisters in Rwanda, but the reality is a little bit more complex than that, right? Yes, the genocide did, or the attempted genocide did take place, right? Didn't succeed, so you can't call it genocide, right? More like genocide attempt. But the reality is, right, a lot of these tribes, they themselves were out here not doing the right thing that they needed, right? They were out here misbehaving and making sure that they're not getting the best out of what was recommended.
Good policies, bringing women on the table because they were the part of the population that also wanted to have justice.
Yeah. So just for the benefit of our audience who's global, the genocide against the Tutsis left a big part of the population unfortunately murdered, and nearly 60 to 70% of the remaining population were women, right? So before that, what was the state of affairs for women in this country? How was it like?
Yeah, so first of all,
well, look, let's be realistic here, right? The genocide was not focusing on any one gender, right? They were, unfortunately, right, and this is very unfortunate, they were coming for everybody, right? They're coming for everybody that was part of the tribe or group of people that they did not recognize as the kinds of people that they want to deal with. And I think that's something that we have to be very, very specific about, and something that we have to be very careful of how we kind of promote these things, right?
all women couldn't own land, they couldn't inherit it. So if suppose there was a widow and her daughters, none of them could own land, even when they owned it before, when their father was.
Yeah, and also shout out to you, brother over there, Chuku Igwe, man. Shout out to you, my Igbo Black American brother over there, right? Also, by the way, Chuku, yeah, I do appreciate the support that you give me time to time. I am someone that does appreciate support, trust me. But anyways, you say equality doesn't exist in nature. It's a mistake to allow people who don't fight in wars to vote for people who can't declare war. You know what, Chuku? I don't know if you've been listening to some of my shows, but that's 100%. I believe in everything you just stated there, right? I don't care about men or women. I care about people that fight for wars, right? I am willing, if I was a president or rather the leader of any sort of nation, I would state the same thing. If you don't want to participate in warfare, you don't get the right to vote. If you will get the right to vote, then your progeny or someone who can take your place must go to war, because that allows you the ability to vote and participate in parliamentary affairs, right? So this will make it very clean and will prevent certain bad behaviors from certain types of people and even genders. 100%. Yeah, very high IQ point. I do appreciate that statement that you just created over there, Chuku.
So you needed a written permission or consent by your husband to get a job or to open a bank account.
Excuse me?
Yeah. That's how far we were. So on the land issue in 2019, surprisingly, more women owned land than men.
Wow, so there's been a radical shift, you would say, since then. Okay, Jean-Baptiste already wants to speak to me. So Jean-Baptiste, by the way, he runs an organization that empowers men to close this gender gap. You had something to say to me, yeah?
Our organization don't only empower men, but also women. And from our history, women were left behind. And the Rwandan government saw that empowering women is the best thing to do, because women have many talents. And most of women ignore that.
Okay, I'll come back to you on what the sentiments of men in this society are today. But let's come back briefly to just where we are as women in this country today. How would you describe the state of affairs for you guys?
When I was younger, there were less women driving cars. I remember when I was young, I used to count 3. There were 3 women. I remember the colors of their cars. So I used to clap whenever they would pass by. And now you can't. Yeah. It's too many. You would spend the whole day.
Okay, Moses, speak to me about it.
I think that it's true. Like, since growing up and now that we're here, there's been a radical change being a woman in this country, right? You see, even the space for us to have this conversation.
Yeah, and obviously this is all good news for women, right? Developing, becoming more gender equal and all that kind of stuff. But the situation is, right, that when this is where we ask the question, right, what do women want, right? What is the course of direction for equality in these sort of nations, right? Are we going out here asking for too much, or are we asking for too little, right? That's the reality over here, right? Are women better leaders, right? That's the question that we have, right? Can they make better politicians, right? Business people? We don't know. Right, until we try this and do the test, we don't really have a clean answer.
It's a platform that most countries do not have the privilege to experience, and the political will. But also, let's not forget that part of the reason why there was a political will to give rights and equality for women in this country is because women are fundamentally the right population or demographic if you want to do peace and reconciliation. True. And it has been proven, if we wanted, especially after the genocide, women have contributed 60% of what conversation and building this country the way it is.
Yeah, and of course this was ratified in your constitution. It's now in law, and since 2003 that's when we've seen the numbers rising. But obviously it takes a lot to change a population's thinking in order to...
Now here's the issue that I have with Rwanda, right? Yeah, there was a genocidal attempt against Tutsis, right? That's true. But where are the Hutu-type people in government? If you see the higher-ranking government officials, unfortunately, right, a lot of them tend to be Tutsis, right? If you even go to Rwanda, Kigali, you see a lot of Tutsis. You don't see as many Hutus in comparison, even though the Hutus are the majority. My fear is that if this problem doesn't get resolved, we're going to see something that repeats a past that is too dark to speak of. I'm just saying my own analysis of the situation. I believe that this country over here requires a lot of change, right? Internal change.
Adapt these policies. So how has that transition been?
It was not easy, but it was necessary. Many women were head of family, were raising children, were taking care of traditional roles that were assigned to men. So it was actually justice to take them on board to rebuild the country together. So as our president, His Excellency Paul Kagame has said, you cannot leave women behind. The progress of women is the progress of us all.
Yeah. Now, this is generally true. I agree with that, right? And that's what the globalist states, right? If you can raise the economic petition of women in a country or a nation, you are definitely bringing up the whole nation forward. So 100%, the lady is 100% correct, right? If you want a country to succeed, you definitely got to bring the women, right? Why? Because at 50% of the potential workforce, right? Because they're just as able, just as intelligent as men, and working in certain key industries, you can clearly see that women being empowered is a good thing, 100%. So she is correct.
Okay, Aisha here from YWCA. You were snapping.
Yeah,
Tell
it
me,
is
tell me.
sounding like if we have arrived while we are still on our way. Like it sounds like women in Rwanda, they have reached at the top, but we're still struggling.
Okay, we're going to talk about the...
Yeah, look. The whole human experience is you're always going to be struggling, right? There's no time, space, or scenario that you're going to be, reaching out the air of arrivedness, right? You're never going to have had arrived in any scenario. You're always going to be reaching out to the next level. So that is a human experience. So this statement here, right, like about random women or everything not being perfect is insane, right? Let's be honest, right? There's always a constant change of moving forward. That's the reality. So yeah, anyways, shout out to her. We're going to move on and keep analyzing this whole situation.
Give me a second. We're going to talk about the limitations. We'll talk about the limitations just now. And because you've brought it up, let me come back to Jean-Baptiste. Because when a system is overturned and the men needed to give women permission to do basic things like have a bank account, and now they're your members of parliament, how are the men adjusting to this new life?
So we started by transforming the system, the society, from top to down. Do you know our mindset, our attitudes are shaped by the social and cultural norms? I say harmful ones. So we started by changing the laws, policies, strategies that bring women from behind to
the forefront.
the forefront.
Okay, but let me hear from some other men here, because I want to know, if you were raised in this country by, say, men who enjoyed a patriarchal system, how are you?
The word patriarchy got mentioned, right? Patriarchy is not a bad thing. Patriarchy is just a type of system, and that system, can be obviously under scrutiny, etc. But the reality is, it's just a system like any other one. So for me personally, I'm not for or against patriarchy. I'm simply, shut up, man. Shout out to you, brother. Chuku Igwe, man. $5 super chat. Thank you very much for being the sponsor of this stream. Women want authority without responsibility, not equality. Authority without responsibility is tyranny. Responsibility without authority is slavery. 100%, man. 100%, Chuku. That is actually a perfect point that you're bringing up there, right? This is generally the point, and I think that's why us African men, we have less issues with women, because we understand our responsibility, right? We're providers. We're the ones paying for the rent, paying for the bills for the most part, and also paying for the kids' school fees. So if you have that kind of responsibility, you definitely better have authority. Otherwise, you're being cucked heavy. So shout out to you. Thank you very much for that comment there. And shout out to you for the $5 super chat. 100%, brother.
Different from, say, your father's generation or your uncles?
I think we're raised in the situation where our mothers are everything. Our big sisters were like our mothers, and our mothers were like our fathers.
Yeah.
So they are everything to us. We're against with anything which put them behind.
So you're definitely new mind, new thinking, new generation. But Aisha, before we come back to you, Glory, you had something that you wanted to say earlier, the limitations, that it might sound nice on the surface, but there's still a long way to go. Talk to me about that.
First of all, we'll talk with the mindset for women themselves. There are some women at the ground who thought that this policy of gender equality and it's a vice versa. It's a revenge time for men. And there are men who think it's not gender equality, it's women's empowerment. And those are two things that are different at the ground. And going back in rural area, you might find still women there who doesn't know what we are saying. Here in Kigali, that's where we hear. Yeah. And women in Kigali.
Yeah, and also Chuku, right? Like I mentioned earlier, right? You listen. Rule number one with women: you don't reason with women, you don't argue with them, you don't try to make sense with them. You just take order. You deal with your part, right? You pay the bills, you pay the hardship, right? And then you just tell the woman what's up. You just say, hey, listen, this is my business. You either going to submit to this business or you don't. You don't go around doing all the crazy stuff that you FBAs do. That's the reality. Shout out to you, Juju, over there. Hi to Niger. Oh. So Juju, you say hi to Niger, but you don't say hi to me. Okay, tonight. Okay, Juju. Well, we see how it is, right? You'll be in love with this old man.
There is so much opportunities and open of information that you can know more about gender equality and the opportunities out there that are waiting for you. But when you go in rural areas, there are some mindset that haven't changed yet. And a simple example, there is a higher level of teenage pregnancy in Rwanda now. And one of the issues.
There's a higher teenage pregnancy in Rwanda, right? Where do you think this is coming from, right? In Kenya, do you know how many women in Nairobi, specific Nairobi, is single mothers? Too many to count. Oh, so Juju, you'd rather go into Niger's stream, huh? You is a hater tonight. You're a hater, Juju. Yeah, no matter how many times you laugh, it's not funny. You is a hater, Juju, right? Unless you drop $50 right now, Juju, you is not forgiven. You is a hater. How are you going to go out some old ass man from Africa, or you got a beautiful, sexy ass nigga over here, man? Nah, I allow you, Juju. You see, this is what I love, right? Chuku Igwe, a nice guy, supports the show, doesn't go around going for old people, man. Juju, you're definitely a mess.
You might see it's because of men. They don't understand gender equality. They don't see the effect or impact of impregnate someone, while for them the life will goes on. Like we got pregnant and I will continue with my life. If I'm a student, I'm still studying. I'm not stopping. But you're going to stop and take care of your child. So we still have gaps of mindset, first of all, to both men and women.
Okay, there's...
Okay, Juju says, this man is your default, is handsome. Who is this? Bro, that is me. What are you talking about, Juju? Juju, what? Okay, I know you're funny. Right? So I won't come for you. Oh my God. You're funny though.
I want to come back here to Boza and first Sandrine, because we heard the issue of sexual and reproductive health rights, particularly in rural areas. Is this one of the areas where you feel could definitely use work?
Yes, I feel like discrimination and violence and everything is still a hindrance to gender promotion. And here, I mean, yes, we do have rights for women and we do have the policies, the laws, but it's still not detailed. Okay. Like, for instance, we see in companies, in organizations, even in the government, we see discrimination.
Juju. So now you're, oh my God. So you're saying I look like a handsome Tyrone. Bro, Juju, you're trying to say that I'm this niggas out here creating single baby mothers, man. Nah. I'm African, Juju, man. I don't go around creating single baby mothers, right? In my whole 30 or something years, I've never created a single mother yet, right? So shout out to you, sis. Shout out to you, sis.
Discrimination of different sorts. We see sexual harassment, we see sexual assault, and it's still not taken as hard as violence. It's still.
No. Look, guys. I know you guys gonna come for me, right? But I understand the legal system. I've been accused of a fake crime. I'm in the legal court system and everything, right? Listen, niggas. Bitches lie every day, right? People lie. Men lie, women lie, and everything like that, right? So this whole idea that you're going to get a system which can account for every segus, so assault is not going to happen, right? There's innocent men being accused falsely. There's innocent women who have been falsely stolen off their monkey double backflips, aka raped by men. The situation is very, very difficult for both sides, right? The reality is this, right? We, as people that can reason, should create a better society, but the reality is you're not going to get this perfect society, right? People lie. That's a reality. So this lady over here talking about segus assault, unfortunately, that's not how the world works, right? People get falsely accused every day. The system is already at its wit's end in how well it can provide data and evidence. At the end of the day, you can't just take people's word, right? We had that Somali chick, right? Oh, man, Chuku is on fire today, man. Became a member for 1 month, man. Shout out, mother loving one to you, Chuku, man. Shout out, I really do appreciate it. Like I said, right? I'm not some random dusty out here, etc. I do appreciate every support that I get on this channel, right? People like you, people like Juju, are the kinds of people that I actually make these shows for. So thank you very much, brother. I do appreciate that.
Denied, and I think this is one of the biggest gap, which is still putting a woman behind.
All right, so the justice system needs to catch up. One of the areas.
The justice system is never going to catch up unless you got perfect DNA and also videography statements, right? What I'm talking about here is having videos everywhere, every room, within your eyes and iris and everything scanned. We've got to go to some next futuristic statement for that situation to happen, right? That's a reality.
And I wanted to add that congratulations, Rwanda, for 61%, because representation.
No, 61% is over-representation, bro. We don't want women occupying 61% of any parliament. We want them occupying 40%. We've got to keep this realistic, right? Most women are not ambitious to be in parliament. So why do you want to have 61% of women in parliament? That means so many men are not there who are far more qualified. Let's be realistic. That's like saying having 60% of men in tailorship, right? Tailors. Or men in art, or other kind of more feminine sort of distribution. It means that there's so many women out there who are more talented who are not in that position. So no, 60% is too much. Let's keep women in 40 to 50%. I think that's a decent level.
Is very important for young girls who are growing up to know that they can make it into those rooms. However, it's very important to also question exactly, which is the topic of today, what does actually those numbers represent? And what are the women in those seats actually doing? Because we usually misunderstand numbers, because you think if a woman is in the position, they represent women, but because which is not, because just I'm a woman, it's like if you see a woman who's leading a certain company, it does not mean that everything, the decisions they're making them for the sense of women.
Oh, finally, someone who's IIQ. Of course, it doesn't mean any of that. So why do you want that representation? Is it really best for women to be represented, or is it really best for the culture and society to have policies that benefit women, right? Here's where you guys gotta have that conversation yourselves. Is representation more important than policy? Right? Shout out to you. Very good high IQ point, lady.
But I want to hold on. Great question, because we have a
I wanted to add that a lot of times when it comes to Rwanda, we talk about 60, 60, 60. But then the position in the government does not only stop in the parliament. So we have to talk about senior government position, general directors in ministries, permanent secretary, directors of units. And this position, all of them, apart from the current constitution of 30%, all of them stops from there to triple down. So which means that we need to compare numbers in terms of and not use some of the numbers with tokenism to be like, this is a success.
Okay.
So where are the
Yeah, here's where the lady lost me, right? She's still out there talking all the high IQ stuff about, having women is not necessarily going to give you the policies that women value. Just because someone is a woman doesn't mean she's going to vote in parliament for the stuff that benefit majority of women, obviously. Right? She or he has, her or his own preferences in the community, obviously, right? However, now she's talking about some other stuff, right? Right. I think Rwanda has like a 30% minimum female in certain positions ratio, and I think that's what she's referring to now. Yeah, I shout out to that, right? I agree. That's a good thing to have, right? Having certain quotas is going to develop the country in certain manners. Yeah, I'm not against that, but the reality is simple. Just because you have those quotas doesn't mean that things are going to go the way that you want them.
Women in other positions.
All right. Okay. There was a question. Give me a second. I'll come to you, Glory. But there was a question directed to you, right? Which is, there are the women in those seats, which is yourself. But what are you doing for the women?
7 years ago, I was like my sisters, questioning MPs. What are you coming to do? What are you doing for us? But that space of talking to them, of showing me you have opportunities, grab them, use them. I grabbed it. Now I'm sitting with them, telling them, I know in 2013, you enacted a law giving land rights to women, but we are seeing.
Yeah, by the way, Chuku, I was watching an old video on my channel, and apparently you've been here for like the last 9 months. That's crazy, man. You've been here for 9 months. I thought I found you through Ike, etc. But apparently you've been here supporting this channel for the 9 months. So shout out to you, man. I didn't even realize that. And you does this from to Nigel's channel. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe on this channel, right? So that we can get it to a larger audience. So yeah, but Chuk, I checked out the video, man. You've been here for over 9 months. That's crazy. So mad respect for you. And Juju, you've been here from day one. So shout out to you, sis, as well.
Men owning land behind women's back. What can we do? Then 2021, we amended that same law because there were gaps. You see, I'm saying it because to say women empowerment.
Yo, man, Chuku Igwe, man, Masha Igwe, man, Masha Chuku, right? Because Chuku is God, Igwe is like rise, right? Like praise God. So yeah, Masha Chuku, man. What the hell, man? Another $5 super chat, man. Shout out to you. I really do appreciate that support, man. Definitely made my day. Women don't want equality when it comes to manual labor positions. That is a really, really good point, right? Because if you come to Kenya right now or Rwanda, you ask these women, do they want to go work in what we call mjengo? Mjengo means like building sites. They want to work in a building site. They don't want to work in a warehouse. They want to work in a comfortable office scenario with air conditioning. 100%. That is a really, really great point that you're talking about. Only high level, exactly. Only high level executive positions. Why? Shout out to you, brother. I really do appreciate that support. 100% correct.
Women equality, it's a progress. You know, today you may achieve this, but tomorrow you find there is a gap. So I'm responding to that, to what my sister said. Like, we are sounding as if we reached where we wanted. Definitely not. But have we made big steps? Have we made giant steps that we need to sustain? I'm saying yes.
Okay.
She talked about laws not being implemented. That's exactly what we ask ministers. If we go to Isange One-Stop Center, which is a center that receives victims, we look at the statistics of claims that were brought there. We ask them how many that were channeled to the prosecution. They tell us,
as I mentioned, right, and I feel it for women, and I feel it for any human being that has accused someone else of a crime that they believe the other person committed. But the legal system is very, very strict. You can't just go around believing everyone, right? That's when you go to hell. That's the pathway to hell, where you go around and put people in the wrong position. So I get the sis, and I understand how she feels. But the reality is, right, when it comes to legal procedures, it is dangerous, it is difficult, and you have to be very careful how you run things. So shout out to you, Just Emeka. That sounds like an Igbo name, but please clarify if it is or if it isn't. And also shout out to you, brother Zaid, man, over there. I am above this. Well, Zaid, uh, this is a link specifically for you, right? I'm not gonna open this up to too many people. So if you want to come through, you want to add your perspective, you can. You definitely deserve it if you are interested. If not, it's all cool, right?
They report after a week or when they find that a child is pregnant. Then we say, what's wrong with this? There is a need for sensitization to report on time so that you can gather evidence. Then we go back to the Minister of Local Government or Gender. Do you sensitize citizen about reporting, timely reporting? So which means that laws are there, goodwill is there, but education, sensitization.
Yeah, what's good, Emeka, man? Shout out to you, brother. What's good?
Yeah, yeah. Good evening. I don't know where you are in the world. It's an interesting topic, right?
Are you coming
I
from One Man or to Niger's channel?
am I calling from?
Are you coming from One Man Went to Mo or to Niger's channel?
One man went tomorrow.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, shout out to you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
What's your perspective on what you've heard? And
Um, if you ask me, I don't think women want equality, right? Um, we could dissect this topic from a different perspective, maybe from the biology down to personality traits, down to even what you were saying, occupation hazards, right? Women really do not want equality. What I would probably want to say is maybe equity. You understand? They are confusing equality to equity because we are not equal. Um, a man and a woman can never be equal in terms of our personality traits, our physiological structure. Even if in terms of occupation, you find that they don't take most of the occupation with enormous risk hazards, right? Like the oil rigs, even down to the firefighting crew. You have less women, and many of them probably might just be behind the decks. They don't go out to endanger themselves because that's their personality. They don't take up enough. They don't want that risk. They don't like risky jobs or risky occupations in that aspect. But if in terms of equity, treating each and everyone fairly and equally, yes, I can admit that as humans, I think equity is a much better word, not equality. We can be equal. And if you look at the world today, men are actually treated unfairly than women for the same crime being committed or being perpetrated by both genders. A man would serve a harsher term than a woman. You can correct me on that, but I know this is true. Um, so we're not treated equally. The world do not see a man in that light, or the world do not see a woman in that light. And if you even want to take it down to the dating aspect of life, you will say women have pretty privilege, yeah, and than men, and their outcomes is quite different. So the cry for equality is misconstrued to equity. If you ask them, like maybe I don't know what they want in Rwanda. I don't know what kind of equality they want in Rwanda, but I think Rwanda is actually a progressive country. It's doing well. I know that despite the fact of the shortfall that they had as a result of the conflict, the war they had, I think the country is really picking up at a faster pace um, than other countries in Africa. So then, what I will also say is I think African women also should be very careful for what they want because I know many women do not really understand what they want. If they look at the Western world today, which I am in currently, This cry for equality has probably ruined um, some aspect of their lives. Right now, you find out that there are more divorces in, when you compare it back to uh, the late 40s, 30s, 1930s. There are more divorces, and there are more single mother out in the streets who are struggling financially. And when you hear the word independent, that means you're struggling. Don't get confused. The word, oh, I'm an independent woman, I pay my own bill. You're struggling, and women don't like to struggle. They are not built for it. It's not their job to struggle. They're not built to take up enormous responsibility. And if you're well experienced and exposed, you'll find that um, few women actually get to the echelon of leadership. Very few, and not almost all. So a large crop of women are within the average mediocre phase of life. So they've been sold a lie uh, by whatever movement going on these days. The African women need to be careful for the choices and the things they want. I don't think they're built for it. If you know, based on our customs and traditions and our culture, I think we're doing pretty much well in terms of um, raising our family. I will have to. I have to drop. Yeah.
No, really, really great point, just Emeka, right? And from the chat, Chuku Igwe says Emmett Till. Emmett Till, for those who don't know who he was, right, on the, listening to this video, now or later on, he was a black American boy who was falsely accused of, grabbing a white woman, and he was unfortunately killed for it, right? So it was the first Me Too homicide. So shout out to you for that point over here. Negrorant, what's good, Andre? Yeah, play the video.
Yeah, this is about Japan, gender equality.
Our next story comes from Japan. This country is known for many things: rich culture, technological innovation, even sushi. But if there's one thing it's not known for, it's gender equality. Japan is now trying to turn that around, and we'll tell you how. They're starting with political representation. Today, the Prime Minister of Japan, Fumio Kishida, announced a cabinet rejig. There were a lot of changes, but the most important one was this: the new cabinet features 5 women. This is the first time 5 women will be part of the cabinet since 2014. In all, there are 19 ministers in the cabinet, so technically, women now represent more than a quarter of the Japanese cabinet. It's on par with Italy's female ratio. But Japan still lags far behind other G7 members. The government had initially committed to 30% women representation by 2020. Soon they gave up on that goal. And now they want to meet the target by 2030. They plan to offer babysitters and create a fund to support female candidates. So this rejig by Prime Minister Kishida is a step towards it. Now, Japan's history is steeped in tradition. Men are looked at as breadwinners. Women are seen as caregivers, like in most traditional societies. These roles are deeply ingrained in the Japanese society. Children are taught these norms from an early age. So women often find themselves on the fringe of political power. And it shows in global reports. Like a report on gender parity by the World Economic Forum, it ranks Japan 125th out of 146 countries. That's really low for a developed nation. On gender parity in politics, Japan ranks 138th, even behind China, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. And that's saying something. So this cabinet representation is a good step. It is Japan acknowledging that it needs more inclusive leadership. Of course, it's a move that deserves applause. But beyond that, what does it really change? Around 10% of Japan's lawmakers are female. So not
This is kind of interesting. So, and I want to ask you first, Andre, and then just Emeka. What do you think this is going to help the countries move forward? Because as I mentioned, right, the kinds of women fighting for this sort of equality, they're talking about the highest level of government, or what I like to call easy jobs. right? So they want to be participating in the easiest of jobs. So what do you think is happening in these countries like Rwanda and Japan? Do you think it's good for the culture? Do you think it's good for having children? Right now, if you look at Japan, the children per woman has gone so low that they are going to struggle paying off the benefits for the old aged retired people. Yeah, so yeah, Andre, you go first, and then Emeka afterwards. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, if when I'm gonna address the kids part. This society is like very conservative, and they still don't have a lot of kids, and I don't know. Mostly conservative people have a lot of children, but in Japan, society is way different from these people don't have a lot of kids, and they're having a problem because they can't support them elderly. Like there's going to be a lot of old people and their economy is in debt. Who's going to pay off that debt? Is they facing a lot of problems? The putting women in power is good step to what these women are going to look for women's interests. They in their society, the problem are women facing. Maybe all men in government they don't show the picture of the country. You have to have some women in power as well. Power have to be shared, and women they deserve it because like they are the 50% of the population, and you have to have a government that will support women leadership. Governments that support women joining the political. Otherwise, you're not. It's not going to happen because societies who are conservative, women will be. Women would never think about these kind of jobs like they need to do. And the government have to support and push like Rwanda. Rwanda, it's not natural that 60% of their government is women. They pushed it. They made it that way because they want to they want to show that they have a lot of females who can do the job as well. Not only men. It shows you gotta want it. You can expect that women will join government. It gotta be the government and people and society have to push women to get that jobs. You understand? That's my take on it.
Okay, that's a really interesting point of view. What's your thoughts on this, Emeka?
All right. Nobody deserves anything. All right. When you say deserve, it means it has to be placed on your table for you to take it. If you want something, you go for it. You don't deserve anything in life. You work for it. You aspire for it. You have to toil for it. So when I hear that word deserve, it's like, oh, it's a right for you to go ahead, or it's you are demanding for something that you don't want to work for. And again, let's be very honest, women are not interested in politics. Only very few, a handful of them. Women, if you don't take my word for it, engage many women in politics, even in your homes. They are not interested in it. Many women are interested in beauty products,
Amilcar,
weaves.
Amilcar, don't you think that we have to modernize our society? Like that we can move
When you say
forward.
modernize, who is going to do it?
No. I'm
We, you,
I'm
if women, hold on, please. If women want their views to be heard, they fight for it. There was a women movement, or women's right movement in the 50s. They fought for it in the Western world. If you want your rights to be heard, you fight for it. You just don't wait in your home and expect people to listen to you. Politics is a very competitive game. That's why you have more men in it, because men are competitive in nature. Men aspire to be powerful. So if women want to, go into politics, they should know what they want. But if you look at it, women don't, they don't like politics. Leave women. That's
America.
that you can see. That's why women mostly we tend to the nurturing and caring sector, like nursing, bartending, hospitality services, the retail end of retail businesses. You understand? That's what they like. It's their nature to nurture, to care, to be up for service. But for men, men like power. Men like aggression. We are competitive. We are combative in nature. We like to argue. We like to trash things out. So when I see, like which you can see the Western world is going downside because in all this, oh, let's cater to this, you lose your competitive edge. I'm not saying we don't need women
America, can I ask you a
representation.
question?
Yep.
Do you think a good leader is a man? A good leader cannot be a woman. Do you think so? Do you think a woman can be a good leader and she can be into politics because people are
What I say, women, majority of women. I don't like to look at outliers. Majority of women are not interested in politics, and you know this. If they are, the facts will show. You have more women representatives. You have more women presidents or prime ministers. You have more women judges. Women are not interested in those things, right? And
don't
then
wait,
because they are not interested. Okay, go ahead.
don't you think it should be equal though? Like equal and everybody have the chance to be in government. It doesn't matter if you're a woman, you shouldn't be.
But nobody's gonna stop you if you want to aspire to be something, right?
Mhm.
And if that is what you want, you can really do achieve it. So maybe the view set, which I think is wrong, women are thinking men are holding them back, and I will tell you that's the way they think. But that's wrong. Women can be whoever they want to be if they pursue it. This is not the stone age where they
Wait,
are being.
America, you know about representation, like women should be a representation in government as well.
See, when you start creating quotas, you start losing efficiency and effectiveness. When you start creating quotas, right, you start losing that edge. But when you leave things out, let the best win. Let the best get the position. Who's the best? You pick the best. But when you begin to create quotas, we live in a competitive world. We live, African is also is in competition with the Europeans, with the Asians, with the Middle East. Look at what the Middle East is doing.
Wait,
They're
can I
trying
ask
to
you a
push.
question? If
Yeah.
it's like it's football, it's everybody's competitor. Who you think is gonna majority come on top? Who you think? What gender? And
Men, of course,
everyone.
you can see that the men's football is more competitive than and more entertaining than women's football. Despite it's the facts.
If it's that, don't you think it should be quotas? Like, women should make up 50% of the government. Isn't that like a good because like they represent women as well? They because of their interests. Because women make up 50% of the population of
No,
the country.
the view of, oh, they represent women interests. That's not true. Let's be honest. That's not true. A man, women can also form civic societies, which they've done and they currently still do, and they can still channel their interests to any medium that they want to and get their voices heard. What I'm saying is, politics is serious business. If you
No,
want to be a
brother,
politician,
brother.
you if you want to be a
If you don't have.
politician, no, can I land the
Okay,
point?
okay, okay,
If you
okay.
want to be a politician, be rest assured it's a competitive game, and you must come with your A-star game. You must come and be competitive with other people. Let's not genderize politics, and that's the problem Africa will run into. We are not there yet. We are not there yet. I think we are still struggling and crawling. The West, yes, now they are going into a decline, but we are not there yet. Let the best win. If a woman consider herself to be the best, why not? Go for it. Show us that you're better, and then go for the post, go for the position. But if
Brother,
a man is better than you, let the man win because we need to get our ass together.
no, 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 no. No. I don't you think it should be equal? Like it should be women should have chance because I don't think a
You see,
woman.
I don't think you're getting me right. Everybody has a chance.
No,
Everybody. See, the UK has had prime ministers who are females, right? Even though the numbers are not as much as the men, because the men are more competitive. But you still get to find that women who have become leaders of a political party. The UK is an example of it, right? Margaret Thatcher. What's the other woman's name again? Elizabeth. What was her name? Even a woman has been the queen. She just died recently. Women can aspire to a powerful position, or the most powerful position a country can offer. But the point of the matter is, when you do find these women in this position, it means they are better than the men around. That's why the men, see, men will not succumb to whoever they cannot respect. You know that. So if a woman is going to go after a job against a man, she has to be better than that man. And if she's not, let who is better take the position. So we can't keep dancing around all this progressive liberal nonsense in Africa
no, no, no.
when we have not gotten our act right. We've not resolved our poverty issues.
Just. Can I tell you something, brother? This has nothing to do with feminism. This does not have to do with the
But that is
liberalism.
it's a subset of it.
No, but it has.
It's the liberalism, the
No, no, no.
progressiveness.
No, but
So that is what you're telling me. Don't we
no,
think
no.
we should? So what you're saying in essence here is, don't you think we should create a 50-50 position roles and give 50% of those positions to women and let 50% be those positions to men? And I'm telling you right now that when you do quota section, you're losing your competitive edge. Why do you think you should do that when somebody, if you do that, I don't know if you've been in politics. Politics is, it's a serious business. These are people who are trying to go into power, those who can mobilize, those who
Brother,
can influence. So when
these
you are saying, oh, let's
people.
give 50% of these positions,
You know why I say that? Because these people are making laws. I feel like if they're the most powerful people, they should represent each side. And the laws actually can be agreed on if they're gonna pass it. You know what I mean?
so in my first contribution, I said equity, right? Not equality. We are not equal. Equity. When in equity, there's fairness. I'm not saying make laws to suppress women. Never. Make laws to enrich the life of women as well as everybody, women, children, men. Make laws to ensure women feel they can be who they want to be. And I think
I
that's
I
already
I,
happening.
I agree with that
Make
point.
laws so that women can be educated. I think that is already happening. Make laws so that women can contribute more to society. I think that is already happening. But like I said,
Wait, wait,
women are
wait.
not
Can I ask you
interested
a
in
question?
politics.
Can I ask
Yeah.
you a question? Do you think in Taliban of Afghanistan, do you think that they care about what women say about what they're doing in government and what they're forcing the
So
laws?
so with the Taliban, right?
Yeah.
They subscribe to a different set of principles, right? They look at things from their religion standpoint. So since they're in government and that is what they are pushing, I think we should let them be.
Yeah,
Should
I,
let them
I,
be.
I agree with you. Let them be, but
So
I'm
so
asking
don't
you.
go.
No, no,
Okay.
no, no. You can morally judge them. You don't have to. You don't have
No,
to.
who am I to judge those who said this is the way we want to live our lives? Who am I to judge the Middle Eastern? Who says women should not be in the workplace? Who am I? I'm not a Middle Eastern. Who am I to
Yeah.
do that? That's the way they've
No. I'm not
designed
saying
their.
tell them, brother. But I'm asking you, what do you think about? I'm asking your opinions.
I'm giving you my opinion already. Who am I? That's my opinion. They said, oh no, my religion said this is it. Everybody subscribe to it. Let's subscribe to a social construct, to a social contract, that this is the way we want to organize our
Yeah,
life.
but look, don't you think certain social constructs are inferior to your beliefs, like morally and humanely? Don't you agree with that?
Why do you think is inferior?
Because their social construct can be bad. Every social construct can be bad, but you can disagree with the social construct. You don't have to attack a society. I'm not saying you have to attack this. I'm just saying, like, you
Now,
can.
guess what? They can also say the same thing about your own social construct,
No, but I'm asking you if they
right?
they can they
So
can
now,
force on
what
you.
we're doing here now is saying some social construct or social contract or some ways of life are much better than others, and that is wrong. It's the same thing as saying my religion is better than your religion, and that is wrong. It's it's completely wrong, and that's why a lot of countries do not like the United States. Let us be. Let's live our life the way we want to live our life. You focus on your own life, and let me focus on my own life.
Picture, you know.
Then we can come to a middle ground. Maybe if we want to trade in commerce or economics, we can do that. But don't be a poconosa. Don't be a busybody. Be in your own home and let me be in my own home. It's just like my neighbor coming to come tell me how to live my life because he or she feels the way I do mine is better than yours. How dare you? So I think it's wrong. So if a group of people come together to say, this is the way we want to live our life, this is a
Brother,
social construct, this is a social contract, these are the principles,
brother, can I
and
ask you a question? I
okay,
want to hear your take on the Rwandan thing. Let me find the video.
okay.
Okay, I want to hear your take on it because I don't think I think I might have a different opinion on that. Kaiser, can you pull it up?
Makers to select from. And for that, you will need more women to join politics. So that should be a priority. Basically, it should be a bottom-up approach. This quota system is often unfair.
Many people in Japan think of a quota system as unfair and biased.
Shida may have appointed more women ministers. But what's the larger policy? Important. It is also important to ensure that voices are heard. It is important to make sure that they can contribute to.
Are you able to turn it up a little bit louder? We can't hear it that well.
Example of Rwanda. This is one of the poorest nations in the world. Let me give you the example of Rwanda. This is one of the poorest nations in the world we're talking about, nowhere near Japan in GDP, but 61% of lawmakers in the Rwandan parliament are women, 61%. And this reflects in their policies too. The policies support equal rights for men and women. Women are given equal opportunity. Rwanda's gender pay gap is 86 cents to a dollar, one of the lowest in the world. So representation matters only when it is backed by policy. It matters when it is not just a token gesture. Japan's decision to appoint more women in the cabinet is commendable. It's a step towards gender equality. It sends a message that progress is possible in the face of deep-rooted tradition. But this is the first step of a marathon. It is not the finish line. The real work has just begun. Japan has taken a step forward. It needs to stride ahead to dismantle stereotypes and provide equal opportunity.
Yeah, what's your thoughts? That was a good ending there.
Yeah, I think they're doing the comparison between Japan and Rwanda. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. I think, for 61% of legislators to be women in Rwanda is quite interesting. It shows maybe the men in Rwanda probably interested in other things.
Wait.
So
No. That's not how. No. Government is supporting women to get
No,
in government.
government support women everywhere in the world. Please,
No, but
we're
brother,
creating a wrong impression
no, no,
here.
no, 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 brother. What I'm
Now,
trying to
she
say is,
cited the wage gap, right? Which is a myth. The wage gap is a myth. Women in medical field earn the same pay as men in medical field. Men in nursing, now when I mean the medical field, I mean doctors. Men in nursing also earn the same pay as women in nursing. Women in IT also earn the same pay as men in IT. The difference may be the longer hours that a man will put in because women still have to go back home to take care of their kids. So they may not want to put as much hours as men can do. So it is a myth, and I don't know why people keep bringing it up. Now, I know they said in football or soccer that they're sure, oh, we want more pay. But no, your league, your tournaments are not being viewed by millions of people. People don't enjoy it as much as the men. So where are we going to get the money to pay you as the men when people don't enjoy your league and your tournament as much as the men? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So for
no, no, no.
Rwanda, I think it's encouraging because I know, if 61% of the women
No, 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 brother.
in the
It's not
house.
only wait. It's not only encouraging women to, but they say 50% of the spark, and only your gender have to be women. You know, you have to be a woman to get the job. You know, in government. You understand?
So now in for me, I think if it's working for them, that's fine. That's fine. If they say it has to be 50-50 representation, that's fine for them. It's up to them. It's fine. For me, I think let the best win. Let the best win.
No, but
So
I
when
think
you start doing
what are you trying to support is actually it should happen naturally. Is that what are you trying to say? It should be natural. Is that
exactly. So now you see when if you allow people in a society to decide for them what they want to do without infusing specific factors, naturally people will take their own course and do things in a natural way. Men will push towards more aggressive, competitive occupation, and women will go towards the nurturing, safe occupation. Tradition, if you let people be who they are. But when you start infusing all these ideas and ideology, oh, we want a quota system, oh, we want this, you're changing, you're making your society, how I'm trying to be very careful with words, right? Let's It's just like if you run a business or you own a company, you will want to hire the best regardless of gender because you want to push your company to be more sustainable in the longest future.
Wait, is
You
this guy
don't.
saying is look, this guy saying Japanese men are weak basically. Is that what he's meaning?
No, I don't think. I think she's trying to compare Japanese or Japan to Rwanda, right?
Yeah.
And she's trying to say, oh, why don't they encourage more women into politics? You don't encourage people into politics. People
Mhm.
who are interested in politics will go into politics. Not everybody, not even every man is interested in politics.
Yeah, you have to be interested to
You
into
have to be
politics.
interested in it. So you don't encourage you, hey, be encouraged to come into a party. If you're interested in a party, you go to the party. But you don't say, hey, I want to encourage you guys.
Yeah, but
No, you're
brother,
creating a
look,
problem.
just I'm not saying that the women they should be qualified for the job though. I'm not saying that there are feminists that say they don't have to be qualified to get, but I'm saying women are qualified. If they're qualified, they should get the job.
You're
Nothing
saying the
should
same.
stop.
You're also saying the same thing. If a
How?
woman is qualified, hold on. Let me land. Let me drop the point. Let me drop the point. If a woman is qualified for the job, go for the job. If you don't get the job, don't say because you're a woman. Concede defeat that, oh, I think my opponent is better than me. You understand? Don't say, oh, we keep throwing up these words. Oh, it's a boys league. It's for the boys. The job is for the boys. Go for the job if you're qualified. Aspire for the job if you think you can do the job, and then get people to rally around you. If you're going to become a president of a country or the prime minister of a country, let the people see your dreams and your vision and what you intend to implement for them, and then they will give you the support. But if they can't buy into your dreams and your vision, and they buy into the dreams and the vision of another individual, then don't generalize it. Don't generalize it. That's what I'm saying. So, like what you're saying, what she said with the Rwanda, I said, okay, I think it's okay, which means the women are more aggressive there. They tend to push their views and the people buy into it, because I know it's not a gender situation. If it's a gender situation, the men will be will be more in numbers. So the women seems to be more competitive than the men in terms of going into politics. The women enjoy it, and it's good. Let the best be there. Let the best represent the people. Let the best aspire to power. Let the best become the one that will lead the country forward. Not putting up quota system.
Yeah, Emeka, which country are you in right now?
I'm in North America.
Okay. And ignorant, my Somali brother, where are you from? Which country are you in?
Wait, are you talking to me?
Yeah, which country are you in?
You know that, bro. You know that. I can't
No,
say.
it's without. It's from.
No. I'm from Sweden.
Sweden, right?
Yeah.
So you're from Sweden, which is like
Yeah.
a very heavily feminist country.
Yeah.
Emeka is from North America, which is a heavily becoming feminist country.
No.
And I'm in Kenya.
It is, guys. Be honest.
All right. It is, right? I'm in Kenya, which is still a free country. So it's kind of interesting to see the different perspectives, right? Kenya, North America, and Europe. So, for me personally, Emeka, I will say this. In Kenya, there's no way that this stuff is going to hold root, because we're still very traditional, very, cultural.
Wait, can I ask you a question? How many percent of the governments are females in Kenya?
Sorry, what do you say?
How many percent of governments in Kenya are females? Like gender, like how?
Well, that's a good question. I think we have a 70-30 law, just like Rwanda, so at least 30%.
30%?
At least.
70%. That's yeah.
No, not 70. At least 30%. We have a 70-30 law, so at least 30% of women of reps have to be women.
Oh, okay. Quotas. Yeah. Oh yeah, quotas. Yeah, but look. Yo, do you agree with that? It should be at least 30%. Like it should be, like if women are not gonna compete as good as men. Do you think men, are very competitive? We know that, but do you think it should be at least 30% quotas? Kaiser, what do you think, Kaiser? What's your take on it?
Yeah, go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, I think it should be a limit that in government that there should be females. You should have percentage of females in government, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Also, Emeka, I have a question for you. Most of the people right now are watching one man's political Nigerian channel. Why are you here watching this other more eclectic show as opposed to the political?
Oh yeah, I saw the topic, right? I think the topic is an interesting one. You understand? So yeah,
because most Nigerian systems.
Well, I would move over soon to go hear them, but I just saw equality, in Africa. That was why I was like, we need to be careful in Africa what we want. We need to be very careful.
Wait. You think we need to be careful from what though? I don't.
No, it's true though, Andre. Here's what. Remember, Africa is the last frontier of certain concepts, right? If we're not careful, what will happen is we will absorb the Western concepts. We get the Western illnesses. Most women in the West have to drink alcohol to go to sleep. They have to take the drugs like lithium to go and have a decent day. We don't want to have that in Africa. So we have to learn.
Kaiser, you treated me like I'm some kind of blue build. Like I'm not that hard. Like I'm not a feminist. I don't agree with that. But yeah, I think
Sweden. You're obviously a feminist. You're from Sweden, bro.
No, but we believe in liberal economy, but that's it. I believe in liberal economy, but I don't believe in most liberal values.
I see. I see.
I
Okay, so
have
shout out.
some I have some conservative in me, you know, yeah. The new panelists can talk.
Okay, so shout out to you. Yeah, let's let the new panelists go ahead. So go ahead, Chuku, and then Chitlins.
Chitlins and Rick was here first, actually.
Oh yeah, Chitlins was here first. Yeah, that's right. And also, you're old man, so go ahead, old man.
I'm just going to do a little pushback with Andre in regards to saying that America is liberal. I mean, we're liberal and we are conservative at the same time. I mean, if that make any sense, we're kind of like a weird mix. Due to the whole situation with the whole abortion rights thing, will pretty much give you an idea that old ideas is hard to die. And certain laws, some people might call it draconian laws in certain states, for example, Texas and a lot of southern states. Basically what the Supreme Court did is grant the states the right to choose if they want to have abortions or perform abortions or not. That's basically what they did. So they granted states, and a good part of the union pretty much, to a certain degree, limited abortion rights. However, they're not able to do is like certain medications, like I think that abortion pill, that could still be prescribed. And I know that certain lawmakers in those states are pretty much trying to push back on that. But America is pretty much a mix, really.
No, I don't agree with you.
Hey,
Why
Brian,
don't I agree with you? Why do I agree with you is I think America is a liberal state, is a liberal country. What you guys are not doing is you're challenging specific aspects, specific minute issues. Um, around the country, from the East Coast to the West Coast, down all across America, you're all liberals, you're all progressive, and the reason is because the economy largely is doing really well. Um, you guys are currently like the Roman Empire, the modern Roman Empire, and I think that was what killed the Roman Empire. When things are flourishing, so much progress. We made so much progress from the industrialization age now to the information age. You're the leading frontier. You are the country other country want to be like and look like. Even though we could see some of the ills that America is currently going into now. I would say generally across board, America is a liberal state. Then maybe when you come to specific states, they still want to maintain a few conservative way of living, right? But
I think it's more, when it comes down to the states, like I said, the state by state thing. And I agree with you as far as the East Coast, West Coast. But when you go in the South, which is pretty much, in some respect, the heart of America, things change a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with the South, right?
Wait, Brian, I mean, like America was a liberal. I mean, like they kind of created these modern day values, like
the idea, but
yeah, the idea.
You still have that.
If you talk about that, yeah, if you talk about like
Europe, your conservatives are not as strong. I'm just
no. European conservative in America will be a liberal. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No, I'm just saying, you don't have like a bunch of conservative quoting the Bible.
No. European conservatism is basically, I think, culturally,
I'll give you a perfect
economically.
I'm gonna ask you a question. What is your equivalent of the Republican Party in many of the European countries? Equivalent as far as religion, politics.
It would probably be a Christian party,
But how strong are they?
They're very pro-religion, and they want.
Saying how strong are they? Do they have an effect of society?
No, they're not strong.
They're not strong. They're not strong like our conservatives here.
No, they're not popular as well.
That's my point right there.
Yeah.
It's also the same thing with Republicans too, right? The Republic, like you said, okay, but the Republicans have now a watered down conservative way or conservative principle. what they practice now currently is not true conservative way of life. It's not true traditional way of life. So it's now a modernized version of it. So that is what the Republican Party is doing. Now, yes, they may be more business oriented. There may be more tax relief, um,
So that's yeah.
look towards, okay, let's reduce tax burden or our citizens. Let's be more pro business. Let's be more industrialized, or let's be more productive. Yes, let's be more productive. Let's be more, or probably, like, let the focus be more on labor. Let the focus be more on the working class people rather than a more socialized way of living,
No, you can't
communal
even
way
say
of.
socialized in certain
Wait,
conservative.
I want to show you
Yeah,
something. Why?
I mean, when you when you say
I know that word they don't want to hear. Some
yeah,
Republicans
I
don't
mean
want to
because
hear the
that's
word,
kind of like people consider that communism for some weird reason.
Yeah.
exactly.
Now, hang on, guys.
But that's what
One second.
the Democrats are technically, right? Where you're giving relief programs to
Yeah.
people.
1 second, Emeka. Let's let the new panelists go ahead.
Okay.
Chuku, Igwe, go ahead, brother.
Everyone. Very fascinating discussion. I just wanted to weigh in real quick on a couple of key points. Now, regarding feminism, one of the major uh, fallacies of feminism is that it's based on this idea, this false idea that the human mind is a blank slate that society imprints onto. So, feminists have this idea that if you can create a world of gender-free minds, and you can get equality with social engineering to bring about people with gender-free minds, and equality is all about equal representation. But there are biological sex differences in human beings. Like, there are biological reasons why human, like, males and females are different, and there is no such thing as equality. And the closest that we can get is equality of opportunity, but we'll never achieve equality of outcome. And the other point I wanted to make was about this liberal hegemony. Like, America is part of like a liberal hegemony. The main aim is to spread liberal democracy throughout the world. Like, our American foreign policy is to topple authoritarian regimes and to set up as many liberal democracies around
Wait,
the.
you mean international liberalism? Yeah.
Yeah, meaning that the more democracies, the more cooperation you have amongst liberal democracies, right? And what that means is that America has to do like social engineering in other countries to make them be our mirror image. So I think there's going to be a lot of global conflict until all the other countries resemble our liberal democracy here. And I'll leave it at that.
I'm gonna give you a little pushback on that one because what America really look for is its own personal interests. A good example as far as countries we pretty much set up before, like Saddam Hussein, far from being a liberal democracy, he was oppressive. But since he provided that containment against Iran, he was okay then until he went attacking Saudi Arabia. Another example is the Saudis and and Dubai and the UAE. They're not democracies; they're kingdoms, but they serve America's purpose. And I could go on and on and on in regards to many countries around the world. What America look for is its own personal interests, and that's it.
Right. But when wants to intervene in another state, it's always on the pretense of spreading democracy, liberating people, protecting some protected group of people. This is what I'm saying. Like, spreading our way of life to all other countries is really the main foreign policy.
You say, yeah, you're right, and I think Chukwumeka too is also right. America is the current Roman Empire. Though they don't want to accept, they want to shy away from it, but that's what they do. Neo-colonialism, going into interfering into other countries' way of lives. So what they do, they subtly push their way of life into other countries. They do that, by um, either advising those in power to accept liberal democracy. But if they understand that there's people like in the Middle East, that's their way of life and is backed by their religion, they would not push any further. They would accommodate and accept it and see how to work with those in power. And as long as those in power represents their interests, they're fine with it. If those in power do not represent their interests, they look for a way to see how to get those individuals out.
Right. I mean, I would say United States it depends on the administration and its foreign policy. I mean, because I mean, like for example, back in the day, in I would say the 1950s, a lot of Iranians will tell you this, who I talked to in LA, and I actually looked it up myself. I mean, at one time, Iran was a liberal democracy.
Correct.
But due to the fact that this liberal democracy did not cater to the backbone of the United States policy, they helped install the Shah, a king, to get rid of the democratic process that was going on in Iran. And then later on, from the Shah, not due to the United States, the Shah was pretty much being oppressive, created what is now the regime in Iran, which in the 1970s, the Islamic Revolution. And like I said, I could go on and on and on. A good example was Iraq. Wasn't a democracy, but they allowed Saddam Hussein, and they gave him weapons and everything like that, as far as the policy of containment.
Right. So,
like America do not look for, as far as democracy and all that. What they look for, what suits their interests. If it don't suit the interests of the United States, then we have to pretty much eliminate that.
Well,
that's kind of interesting. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, America will, prop up puppet, leaders who will fulfill our foreign policy outcomes that we're looking for. So I think you shouldn't confuse that. I think you're right. You do make a strong point, but I think what you're describing is America propping up dictators who will fulfill our foreign policy objectives. So in a way, they are under our control. So they're still they fall under our influence, and they're part of our liberal hegemony.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so let me ask a question too. Yeah, great points, Chuku. But Chuku, I didn't realize you've been here for over 8 months. I thought you only been here for 3 months, right? So, did you have a different name or something?
Well, yeah, I changed my name a few months ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I was wondering.
One question, Queso. You got the map up there. What are you trying to demonstrate here?
Yeah, this is not my map. This is ignorant. It's an ignorant nigga. So yeah, go ahead, ignorant. Why have you pulled up this map? What are you trying to show us, Andre? Warrior. No, the warrior is not here, man. You gotta unmute warrior. Yeah, I don't know. The Dusty Warrior is probably out here.
All right, Andre, what are you trying to say here in regards to the division of the United States?
Yeah, probably based on liberal versus conservative state.
The liberals are supposedly the blue states, but Florida is pretty much a toss-up since they have governor.
It's interesting that so there's more conservatives than liberal states in America. That's interesting.
But here's the thing: the population, though, in these states, like California almost represent, I guess, I'm not saying a quarter of the United States, huh?
California is liberal, right?
California is a liberal state, but we do have liberal sections. Like let's say Orange County. A lot of those people, probably vote for Trump. But generally speaking, yes, it is. California is Washington State. Oregon, of course, Nevada. But these are high population areas.
Yeah.
But Texas is a high population area, but it's not as populated. I think in California, close to about 40 million people here.
I see. Yeah. Okay. So just before you finish that point, Emeka, are you there, brother?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got the question here is right. Obviously, you're Nigerian. Chuku is half Nigerian, half FBA. Chitlins and Grits is a Black American with some dusty ass Creole in his family, and Ignorant is a dusty ass Somali, right? So we got the whole diverse sort of background. So in case you, I don't know if Emeka, have you seen me before on One Man's channel? I am a new host. I do shows regularly, actually every day right now.
Oh, really? No, I've not. I've not seen.
Yeah,
No,
so
but
tune in. I do shows on One Man's channel every day so far.
Oh, Emeka, you live in the States? You don't have to tell me what area.
no, I live in Canada.
Okay, the liberal country.
Okay, kind of.
Yeah,
Socialist
it's
country.
just,
Socialist country. Communist. Communist.
Wait, hang on. Emeka, you sound
yeah.
like that brother that was on a video with this Indian nigga a couple of days ago. I hope you're not that that brother, man.
No, no, no,
Uh,
not there.
oh, okay. Because I did that video earlier today, right? Like there was this
Mm.
Nigerian brother going to Canada talking about how hard it is being an immigrant. I was like, bro, Nigeria,
No, no,
you
no,
work
no.
less, but you make way
Now,
more than
Waco, I mean, excuse me, I'm sorry. Waco is from the States or is he from Canada?
Emeka is, I think, Canada, right?
No, I mean the other guy, Waco, or how you
Oh,
pronounce it?
Chuku
Waco.
Igwe, man. God, I respect him. It means
Yeah.
praise God.
I was born in Nigeria, grew up in the States, but I'm an American. I have an American mother and a Nigerian father.
Oh, okay. You mix.
Yeah.
Okay. You're
Yeah,
from
he's half
the
people,
East Coast?
half black.
East Coast.
I pretty
So,
much figured he was from the East Coast, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, yeah. So we got Chuku Igwe from East Coast, Chitlins and Grits. Where you from, brother? For the audience.
Everywhere, but now I live in San Diego. I live in the border.
Okay, San Diego. Okay. What about you, Emeka? Are you in Toronto or which
Yeah,
state?
yeah, I'm in Toronto.
I'm in
I'm in
the border
Toronto.
of Mexico.
I'm in Toronto.
Yeah, look, Emeka, let's be honest, right? If Nigeria wants to move forward, you guys cannot allow this stuff, feminism coming and taking control.
Oh no,
It's gonna
Nigeria is a very even we in our country it's not something that's may possibly be effective enough because Nigeria is broadly divided by the south and the north, broadly, right? I'm not talking about the ethnic group now, but broadly divided by the south and the north, right? Even though we have like 6 geopolitical zones, that's when you're looking at the political structure of Nigeria, right? So, but if you want to look at Nigeria through in terms of the way we live our life, broadly the north and the south. So in the north, they are extra conservative, like those in the Middle East, and it's backed by their religion. Yeah, so it's backed by their religion in the aspects of the women not participating more into industrial life and employment. Women tend to be more at home and they cover up their faces and they don't talk to men. And many, especially those like the indigent, do not go to school. The women. Then in the south, that is where you see the progressive, the liberal way of life. More women pushing forward.
Amilcar, can I tell you
Yep.
something, brother? If you want to change a society, you have to change how women see life and how they view things. You know, if women's mindset change, the society changes with the women. You know, the women
I
are
agree.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
I agree because
No,
one women are primary caregivers. Women actually define culture. Women spend more time with the kids, and so if you convince a woman on specific principles and she accepts that, she passes those principles to her children. But with men,
I'm really gonna add in the boxes.
Yo, Kaiser, Dusty, your mic is unmuted.
Oh, sorry,
but
guys. Yeah.
But with men, you find men would really want to challenge things, want to challenge opinion, and just like what you said, and I completely agree with you. Women are more agreeable. So if you want to change, um, the way of life of a people, you go through the women and you try to infuse ideologies into them. And they themselves will do that to their own children, and their children will see it as the way we live, as the new way of life. Uh, if you ask me generally, what do I think? I would say Nigeria should basically remain a conservative country. Because
I
now,
agree with you on that because that's good for Nigeria.
yes,
Now,
it is.
Andre, why did you put up the map of the United States? I'm just curious as far as.
Because like the West is way different. The West of the United States, like where the stereotype of America being liberal comes from. Not being conservative. Culturally, and yeah, if you look at California, it's like very modern. And no one has like a it will be rare for you to find traditional people,
I mean, you do. I
traditional
mean,
way of
it's huge. I mean,
thinking.
California is. Let me tell you this straight, Andre. California is a huge state. Think of it like this: we're closer to going all the way up north to Oregon, and to Oregon is Canada, and we also border Mexico. Okay, we have many different geographic regions for a population that's close to between 35 to 45 million people, and you have sections of California. I was telling you before, like Orange County, which is pretty much more of the conservative or the outskirts of California. I mean, what you see, because I even talked to one person. I met this one person at an event, and she said she couldn't ever live in LA. And I was like, why couldn't you ever live in LA? She says, too fucking liberal. She says she's glad where she lived at. I think it was close to Riverside and beyond that. I think it's like a place called Paris, where people know who they are. She just did not like the liberalness that she defined as liberal in LA. She's strictly conservative, and I guess kind of like more of a Trump supporter, that type of thing.
Well, I see this as a struggle between globalism and nationalism. Like this liberal hegemony wants to create like this kind of one world globalized society. And the world is populated with nation states. And I don't think there's ever been a period of time where we lived in a globalized society. So I think that ultimately nationalism will prevail over globalism. But I think that all the changes that we're seeing in the world now is because of this struggle between globalism and nationalism. And as you can see, the immigration is causing a lot of Western states to become more conservative. And I think this will ultimately end in like the nation states prevailing over this globalization.
It's kind of funny when it comes down to the United States and immigration. I go back and forth with this. With Europe, I could understand it a little bit more, where you had, and I hate to use race, mostly, I hate to say Caucasian race persuasion there. Whereas the United States narrative is very, very different. We had people, I mean, that's throughout the Americas, really. I mean, I hate to, but I'm just going to talk about the United States. We have indigenous people here. They started off with the 13 colonies after that little conquest of that area. And then various different Europeans and also Mexico, whatnot, had, was what is now the United States. Let's say 200 years ago, it wasn't the United States how the way we look at it now, but it was many different groups and nations. And from those different groups of nations, as far as through manifest destiny and conquest, there were already people, I'm gonna say from a California point of view, who was already staying here or been here before the landmass became the United States or America. Same thing with our island nations such as Hawaii, and same thing to a certain degree, even though they bought it, Alaska, and then our territories such as like the Virgin Islands, America Samoa, and Guam, which I didn't know. Is funny. I didn't know. I knew Guam was something, but I didn't know if it was like a territory. It is a territory.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, this country always had that diversity, and always had that. In some respects, European Americans are immigrants who came from Europe to the landmass, what later became, or this country, what later became the United States, and other countries throughout the Americas too.
I think it's the same. It's the same with Canada too, right? The French came, the British came, they met the indigenous people, and that forms the bedrock of what Canada is. And also a few Americans and American slaves that during the Civil War that left to come over to Nova Scotia, right?
Yeah, they did. They did.
Yeah, so a few of them, and then you're not having the push, or the pull rather, I would say the pull, because they're trying to attract immigrants to come over to the country, right?
You know what I understand about Canada? I think Canada is so fucking very hypocritical. Very hypocritical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they say they need immigrants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we need immigrants. I said, oh, but they want to pick and choose their immigration. I'm like saying, because the United States has huge amount of people coming from South America to the country in the thousands, in Haiti to the thousands. But I think, where's the Canadian government? Do they want to sweep up these people as well?
No, with Canada, they're smart with their immigration, right? What they want to attract the middle class of each country to come to their country, right? They want to attract the best intellectuals to come into the country. They don't want like the poor. Maybe they might want to take a few, those who are going through political persecution in their country, those who are going through some form of human rights violations, right? And they can accommodate you as part of the refugee sector of immigrants. But they don't want any kind of immigrants. They want and when I say like the kind of immigrant they attract in Nigeria, right? These are not the average Nigerians. They're never the average. The average Nigerian cannot afford it. So they attract those who are intellectually sound and those who have the economic ability to migrate. Same thing with the Indians too. Same thing with some South American countries. So
it's kind of funny though, because
yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you. It was because the mayor in New York started sending those migrants that was from the border of Texas to Canada, and Canadians were just going off about that. I'm like,
no, they don't want those people. See, Canada currently now, the economy of Canada currently is not surviving with the influx of this crop of immigrants, right? Because these immigrants are coming with money. So that is what they want. They don't want immigrants who would want to take what is currently take a piece of the pie from the economy. They want those who can come in and then contribute into the economy. And you can see that that's why the mortgage industry is doing really, really well in Canada. And the prices of houses in comparison to other Western country is way higher than and off the roof, because as an immigrant, you need a place to stay. You need a place to live. And you also need a car. So when you come in, you have to buy these things, or you have to rent or you lease. So it's doing more for the economy than they doing more for the immigrants. So they don't want the South Americans who are running from poverty. They don't want those who are broke. They want people who are doing well to come into the country, like those who are, politically persecuted, right? For you to be in politics, you're doing well for yourself, and then maybe you run the risk of being chased out of your country. You run away from there. You come into Canada with a lot of wealth. They want that wealth. They don't want indigents, or they don't want those who are poor running away from economic poverty to start coming into it. They will not take that. They want those who will contribute instantly from time zero to this throughout their stay in Canada. They want those who are going to contribute towards the growth and the progress of Canada?
Well, in many Western countries, there is a declining birth rate. I know it's happening in the United States, it's happening in Canada, it's happening in most of the countries in Western Europe. And I think one of the problems that this mass immigration is solving is uh, getting more people who have higher reproductive rates to make sure that the population of the country doesn't collapse. And I think here in the United States, I think another political analysis is that the current party in power, the Democratic Party, wants an open borders policy so that the new immigrants can come in, and then they can be given amnesty and a pathway to citizenship so that they can vote for Democrats, which will strengthen the Democrats moving
But you
forward.
know what? That could backlash.
Exactly, they're wrong in that aspect,
very,
right? Yes,
very,
in the
very
short term, in the
Go ahead.
short term, right, that can work, right? But these people they're opening their doors to are largely conservative. The pool for the immigrant pool, you're pulling immigrants from from a conservative country. You're not pulling those who are liberal. It is not the Europeans that are going to the United States or the Europeans that are going to Canada. These are conservative people who live in a conservative country or ultra conservative country that are coming in. Yes, they might be appreciative of you giving them citizenship in the short term, but when you begin to devise policies that contradict their regular way of life, then they kick back against those policies because they say, "Oh no, I don't like this. This is infringing into my conservative way of life. So I have to vote for a conservative who would protect that way of life." For example, now the UK now is largely filled up with Indians, right, and Asians. So we all know the UK is an ultra liberal country, and now what you get to find that they're introducing sexual education into their school curriculum, introducing homosexuality education into the school curriculum, and transgender activities into the school curriculum. And you find these immigrants who have now um, um, regularized or whatever, they've now said, okay, the UK is going to be my country where I'm going to stay and raise my kids. And they're coming out in large group of numbers and they're kicking against it. And they say, hell no, they are protesting violently. When I mean protesting violently, they are literally protesting violently against such. And now the viewpoint is now that, okay, if this is what is going to happen, we are now going to form our own political class to kick out this liberal views, not to encroach into our conservative way of life. You can do your liberal stuff elsewhere, but once it's begin to creep into my own household, I have to put a stop to it. That's what is happening currently now in the UK. You find the Labour Party marching out very, very strongly because the Labour Party is technically is a watered down version of Republican anyway. But
the way that electoral politics works in the United States is that the Democratic coalition, that is to say, the people who vote for Democrats, are made up of a coalition of, college age students, LGBTQ, white liberals, recent immigrants, and African Americans. These are like the groups that vote for Democrats at very high numbers. So if you have an influx of recent immigrants who are given the right to vote, that will strengthen this Democratic voting bloc and increase the likelihood of Democrats being voted into the presidency and higher offices in the future. And I think that's a sound analysis.
No, you're. I'm not saying you're wrong. I said they are right in the short term. In the long term, you find these people changing their views and their political ideology to vote conservative ways of life. In the short term, yes, you will be appreciative. Oh, okay, I think the Democrats got me into the country, and I'm now a citizen. I should appreciate them with my vote since I can now vote. But when you find liberal views creeping into your conservative way of life, you will want to kick against it. I'm not saying you're wrong, you're 100% right, but in the short run, but in the longer term. Okay, for instance, now the African Americans, largely many of them didn't vote for Trump. I think women voted for Biden more than they voted for Trump.
Yeah,
But currently now,
it's funny though because that you said that a lot of black men didn't vote for Biden,
for
and a lot of them
Biden,
didn't vote
right?
for Trump either. But Trump did get
A lot
more.
of stuff. You understand? Trump did much better for them than Biden, and they can see it now, right? Economically wise, they can now see it and said, okay, Trump did much better for me than Biden, despite the fact I default to voting for Democrat, despite the fact that a lot of a lot of what do I think I lost my train of thought there. A lot of tricks were done on painting Trump to be bad, but economically wise, Trump did much more for me. Now you can find a lot of black Americans tending to want to agree with Trump now. And if Trump becomes the candidate, the Republican candidate, I see more black Americans going to vote for him. I see more black American men voting for him, and I see more black American women likewise voting for Trump because they can say, "Oh, yeah, Biden promised us cancellation of student debt." I don't think that's happening at this moment. Biden promised us a lot of things, and those are not fulfilling. Biden didn't promise jobs. So, but someone promised better things economically than Biden. Let me go do that. We would, in this situation, right? We would, as human beings, we would default to our natural states, our natural instinct, especially when if your conservative way of life or livelihood is being threatened, like you do not have a job or some policies that are going to affect your kids, you would definitely feel threatened that you will want to do something against that. But other than that, they can do whatever they want to do outside of your home. So you can find that more Black Americans who are not economically empowered will tend to want to vote for Trump if he's going to be successful with the Republican candidate. Than going to vote for Biden, who has not done anything despite the fact he was speaking between tongue in cheek and trying to get the vote from from Black Americans. And also with the immigrant status, the new immigrants coming into to America, yes, they may vote for Democrats because, oh, you are now legalizing my stay in America, but in the longer run, they will begin there will be a shift towards that conservative nature of things. There will be a shift towards moving towards aligning to the Republican because they can see themselves identifying with the Republican way of life. Because as an immigrant, the first thing you do is I want to aspire to become better. I want economically wise, especially when you're coming from a poor country. And then if they're giving you handouts all the time, that's not what you want. You also want to build something and build something for your country. I mean, build something for your kids. And if the Republicans, who are known to be pro business, can do that for you, definitely you're going to align to become a Republican. For instance, I don't know if you guys know the owner of this popular YouTube channel, Valutainment, right? Um, he said that when his mother was more of a Democrat, but he could see him, the mother was telling him about the Democrats' views of life, but he could see that, oh, I am more of a Republican than a Democrat because I'm pro business, I'm pro life, I'm also someone who aspired to want to do things better. So I right now he looked and he said, despite the fact that I've been voting Democrat, I see that the Republican, their ways align with mine, and so since he aligns with mine and my principles, I have to admit that I'm a Republican and I will continue voting for Republican. He voted for Trump and he said he's going to vote for Trump again. So you find this, and he's from Iran, right? He came in young, so he came in from Iran, and like, oh no, I'm a conservative, and I have to vote Republican.
Well, in the United States, all the Democrats have to do to get a victory over the Republicans is to call them racist. It's very easy for conservatives and Republicans to be demonized as racist or sexist or transphobic, and it seems to work every time. So I'm not very optimistic that it's going to be any different outcome.
I mean, the thing is, the country's going to be. I'm not going to say the country's going to always remain divided, but it's very much divided. along those issues. I think even though for me personally, I think certain issues are a non-issue, but we need to do with something with our debt more than anything else. But those issues, like you was talking about transgenders, which is a very, very controversial issue. I guess to a certain degree, abortion and all that, it's going to still be that stickler that's going to bring in so many different opinions from all different sides.
Yeah, that's true.
Even Clarence Thomas, I think he's trying to change the whole thing, I guess, in reference to gay marriage. He's on a warpath.
Yeah, the judiciary, the Supreme Court, I think is the most conservative branch of government that we have, and I think if
they came in with bats, nobody didn't expect this to happen, and
I think their rulings may help, shift policies more than anything. So,
yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in another 10 years or 20 years. I know I sound like you're a lot younger than I am.
No, I'm not. I'm not old, but I'm not that young either. So
when you're in your 30s, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, close to 40s. Yeah.
Okay. Well, go ahead, Keizo.
That explains everything, right? Chuku is obviously supportive, right? It's usually the older brothers that are here. When I say older, I mean older than me. I don't mean old, right? That support this stream. So shout out to you, Chuku. Yeah, Chillins and Grits. I got a question for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that America can rise again, right? Because I don't know if you know anything about the Niger situation and the coups, or are you like a virgin on that whole thing?
Well, you're talking about as far as with coups and stuff like that in Nigeria, and that was going on in what's that country? Mali, and also Gabon. Not Gabon, you are Gabon.
Oh yeah, Gabon is in that one.
They actually transitioned very well. Even though they still have the French around, they transition very well. Let's see what they're going to do in regards to the economic situation.
Okay, so what's your thoughts on that coups in Africa? Do you think it's a good thing, or do you think it's I don't know?
It depends on the country. I would say you got to go. You have to judge by country by country by country.
Yeah, true.
Because there's no one narrative, and we can't just put a whole blanket narrative of the whole entire continent, because that will do it a disservice. And you have to really, really investigate what's on the ground there.
Yeah.
Like, for example, my favorite country you guys say I love talking about. What's going on in Sudan is a fucking shit show.
Yeah, I mean, man.
That is a fucking shit show.
Yeah, what's crazy?
It reminds me, it's worse than the Crips and Bloods, bro, back in the 90s.
You know what's crazy? I actually had a friend who's actually Sudani. I met him when I was living in Gong Road in Nairobi. And funny thing is, right, this brother...
Shamalia? Is it Shamalia? Oh,
Yep.
Shamalia.
Yeah, and he actually paid off someone in Kenya who's half Kikuyu, half Sudani, to get him a passport visa to the UK. Now imagine, obviously Kenyans love scams, so they scammed him the first time. The second time, the moment he got his visa and everything in the UK, the guy ripped off his passport, never came back. So he's peacefully out there, right? So yeah, it's kind of interesting. How come he knew that there was a war happening in Sudan? This is like a year and a half ago. He knew something.
What tribe is he? Is he Jalian?
Yes, he is.
Interesting, because that's the tribe of Omar Bashir. I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think what's his name? Bahrain. I think he's Dogula or he's Shaggy.
Mm-hmm.
He's from the Shag. I mean, people don't realize Northern Sudanese have tribes, but anyway, Shaggy or something like that, maybe.
One question I have for you, Kaizo. This is about Kenya and Somalia. What is the history, the relationship between Kenya and Somalia? Was there slavery? Did Somalis have Kenyan slaves? Like what happened?
No. Yeah, let me clarify. So Kenya is a fake country created by the British. It doesn't exist. But today people claim Kenya, right? But Kenya, as is today, is between two tribes, Kalenjin, right, It's a Nilo-Cushitic tribe, and the Kikuyus, another Nilo-Bantu Cushitic tribes. Those are the powerful tribes in Kenya. Now, so-called Kenya, right? Created by the British. So historically speaking, if you look at it, in fact, I'm actually going to do a show on the 23rd of this month, inshallah, right? God willing. So one of their sponsors, Shilani, actually sponsored that show. So one of the things when it comes to Somali and Kenyan, so-called Kenyan interaction is that this, right? The Swahili coast was very vast, right? It went all the way from Mozambique, all the way up to Somalia in Kismayo and up to Mogadishu, right? The coastal cities of Somalia. So Mogadishu, Kismayo, also in Kenya, Mombasa, Kilwa in Tanzania, Pemba Island, which is now technically Kenya's property, although it was originally Tanzanian, all the way down into Mozambique. So all that area, that was the Swahili coast. Now, what happened is, if you look at historically speaking, um, the Somalis claim that they saved the Kenyans, aka the Swahili Coast people, from Omani rule. Now, is this true? It's half true and half false. Specific timeline in a specific place, the Somali Sultanate from the Adal Sultanate and Ajuran sent troops in order to fight the Omani, right? Obviously, they did it for themselves. They didn't do it for the Swahilis. But they did do that at some specific point in time. However, the majority of the Swahilis fought for their own freedom. But yes, Somalis did actually help some Swahili coastal people.
Interesting.
Now, yeah, go ahead.
The same way you feel about Kenya, that's how I feel about Nigeria. I don't think Nigeria doesn't really exist. It's something that was created by the British to extract resources from the region. And
That's true.
we have flag independence, but the country is really just a series of puppet leaders who benefit outside powers, not Nigerian citizens.
I mean, Chichu, you could say that about most African countries too. I mean, throughout the African continent, from Kenya to Sudan to Niger, Niger to a certain degree, to Nigeria to I don't know about Ghana, but I know that some of the other tribes. Maybe Ghana is a little bit more harmonious. Many different tribes. I mean, many different countries throughout Africa is kind of like that.
All right, I think we got to seriously look at redrawing the lines. Like I would like to see a free Biafra or a nation state just for Igbo people, but there's civil war behind that.
Everybody don't know what he's talking about. Obviously, he haven't been around a lot of African Americans.
Yeah, no, yeah, every boy, you're wrong. It definitely, your brother sounds like a. If you guys, do you guys know James Gates or Jimmy Gates?
No, who is he?
He's a Black American. What you guys call him? Scientist, right? It's called Jimmy Gates, right? He's a theoretical physicist. Very interesting. Yeah, Chuku sounds more like him actually.
It's kind of funny because I was thinking, there's a Gates guy, but he does a whole lot of stuff as far as history and
Henry Louis Gates.
Biology. Yeah, Henry Louis
Yeah,
Gates.
Henry
I love
Louis
his
Gates.
show. I love his show. He
He also does the genetics, so I like him.
Yeah.
He does history and genetics, so he
does. He try to combine both of them, which is great. I mean, it depends on the guest that he have. I watch. One guest I hope he gets one day is The Rock.
Oh,
because I really want to know.
Is he a Black American, half Samoan or something?
Yeah. His father is. I showed you the picture of his father one time, didn't I?
Yeah.
His father was a wrestler.
That's kind of interesting.
His name was Rocky as well too, and he was descendant of the blacks that moved to Canada. From Nova Scotia, Nova Scotia, excuse me, So that story would pretty much be interesting. I'm not saying I'm not interested in his Samoan story. We already know this narrative of that, but
Nova Scotia is way more interesting, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, not pissing on Samoans. I know Samoan people personally, but his African American story is pretty much interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense. Chukwu is too well spoken to be Black or African. Boy, I'm well spoken, so it's just call me Brian. Are you going to say that we're not African as well, or is it that you see my face there, so you're like, oh yeah, this nigga is African? This whole narrative, right? that Africans can't be well spoken.
Yeah.
Listen, we are good at the language that we speak. If I was speaking Kiswahili, I'll be the best Kiswahili speaker. Let's be
Actually,
honest.
the majority. Putting you guys in the pedestal. The majority of the Africans who I encounter in the United States are very well spoken. You
Mhm.
know, it's kind of weird that well, he's coming from Canada, so no wonder.
This my speech pattern comes from the northeast of the United States. I went to
Exactly. That's what I
Catholic.
hear from you.
Yeah, this is the way that the schools the students that I interacted with spoke. This is why I sound
Right.
like.
Yeah, it's a
But
lot of black people who sound like that, especially black professionals. But then again, I'm saying Earl Ruboy is in Canada, and he gets all his information based on YouTube videos, I guess.
I live in the South in Miami, Florida, and people down here say
Oh my God,
I talk like
Miami! I ain't gonna give you. I gotta have to give you guys claps. You guys have one of the best beaches in the country. I'm not gonna lie. I love white sand beaches. Oh man, I mean,
Uh-oh.
and a lot of beautiful. My younger days, a lot of beautiful things be running around over there.
Right. I still think you Indian Kaiser. Bro, listen. That is me. I'm not a dusty Indian, right? That is me over there. I'm
well,
not no Indian man.
question I have before I drop is all right, do you think that governments are like the social contracts that are negotiated by citizens, or do you think the governments are more like a protection racket where you know powerful people extort resources from the citizens in exchange for protection from outside people and from each other? I, uh, I'm more inclined to think that this social contract is kind of like a mirage, and really, we're here to pay taxes and to have resources extracted from us. I don't know.
That's a very good question and very conflicting. Um, for me, I can see the benefit. I mean, because I remember I had this argument with one of my friends a long time ago, and he was like saying, in regards to paying taxes, he's like, why should I be paying taxes for this or that or this and that? Like property tax and all that. Even though I know there's a lot of corruption, I know this. I know this. I see it in California. I mean, I see it in, when I lived in LA all the time, all the time. It's pretty much obvious, with the homeless people and all that. It's a racket, really. And also bad streets and stuff like that. However, I see certain benefits in regards to, I was telling my friend, if we did not have this type of service, or as far as, them taking the taxes, certain kids who might come from bad situations, let's say they parents who are drug addicts or whatnot, they will have no hope. I've seen plenty of people, although they came from those bad and horrible situations, they took the opposite. Uh, they did something totally opposite from what their parents did, and they moved up in life. So if we didn't have those type of services, people like that would not have a chance.
Hmm.
What's
Good.
your thought, Mr. Kasem?
Yeah, that's actually quite interesting.
This is where I see a difference between liberals and conservatives. I tend to be more conservative. I'm much more interested in my family and my my customers and my friends than all people everywhere. Like, does your morality include the entire planet, or are you
Be
more
honest
narrow?
with you, as far as what I've seen, yeah, it does. I have to admit, I do have empathy for those who are suffering. Like, for example, maybe because I know, people from Darfur and stuff like that, and the situation in Darfur, um, what's going on right now, and I still talk to my Darfuran friends. It does have I have a certain feeling for that, and what's going on in Sudan in general, since I visited the country itself. I do have empathy for those who might not be of my same race too. as far as indigenous people in the Amazon rainforest, or when I see poverty in different parts of the world, and you have to ask yourself why. We have
But
all this technology in the world. I mean, more than any type of human civilization that ever existed. Why do we have people on this planet living in appalling conditions?
hmm, that's a very interesting point. But is there anybody who exists outside of your moral circle? Like, is there anybody outside of where you're like, you know, they're not the most important people to me. Like how
I give all humanity importance. I mean, even though I don't know many people from Afghanistan and the situation of women's rights, I have daughters, and I think, okay, this could be one of my kids that's not being allowed an education. So they're outside my. I mean, I'm human, and I don't like seeing other humans suffer.
Understood. Understood. I I agree with a lot of what you've said, and this has been a very fascinating discussion. And I hope we have another a stream like this. But I got to head out pretty soon.
All right, then you have a good one, brother.
Gentlemen, have a great night.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for coming through, and also shout out for you for sponsoring the stream, Chuku.
Anytime.
Right, rise the god. You should call it Chuku Kaizore, man.
Chuku Kaizore. Yeah, man. One question I have to ask you, Queso. How do you feel about AI?
Yeah. Okay. 1 second. I don't know if you noticed these days. I actually try to be very, very good at the series. Right. If you notice, I get less views on each video, but I'm very specific. Right. I usually end the stream, then I start a new one with new topics. So let me end the old stream. Right. You Dusties, just go to my live stream, whatever section. I'm gonna end it now. Then I'm gonna talk about technology and AI. And 1 second.
Oh my God, you're gonna change the topic?
Technology and what's new for Africa? No, but I think it's working for me because I'm getting more subscribers.
For which one?
It's just in general. Like I've actually got a lot more subscribers recently in the last month. So I think this method works really well because the thing is, right? Remember before I used to have like a 10-hour stream, so many different topics. Now every time a topic changes, I just set up a new stream with a new everything, right? I know I sound like you, right?
This is gonna be controversial for me to say, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Oh,
I hope the Terminator comes. Humanity needs a wake up call. We're all screwed up. We need to have a Terminator to rise, to oppress humanity, and for us to realize that we need to be better with each other.
Yeah, but you know what? I generally agree with that statement because
you actually agree?
No, that's a sad thing. Like I've looked at this, right? Humanity is one of the most messed up, group of
messed up creatures on this planet, bro.
Exactly. Right? Why are we not able to unify? Right? And the unification process should be straightforward and simple.
Right.
But one of the issues that we keep having is trusting each other. So if we have something that's beyond us, there's no way we're going to be having this conversation. It's going to be straightforward.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think we both see exactly what we're both saying, and that's the reality.
People think I'm crazy for saying it, but I'm like saying I hope the robots do rise.
Yeah.
I really do. I really do hope the robots rise. I would even assist it if I have to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think something like that need to happen to wake people up.
Yeah. But that's kind of crazy, man. I'm not gonna lie. But what do you think about let's say every picture at Kaiser looks different race? No, all these pictures is me, right? I know you niggas think I look different every picture. They all me. It is what it is, right? But yeah, the question is, Chinas and Brits is just right. Have you seen the new uh the new Mexico UFO
Oh my
deposition?
God, I've been avoiding those UFO topics. A lot of my friends believe in that. I mean, I have no I have no bone in regards to do these
Right.
UFOs exist, or
Mhm.
I'm not gonna, you know, criticize our military, especially our
Yeah.
Air Force pilots, because they believe, and they actually have on video that it's something there. We don't know what it is,
Mhm.
but it's something. Whether it's a
Mhm.
drone of some sort, or whether it's some type of instrument that's coming from China or Russia
Yeah.
or any other, uh, you know, groups, or it could be a secret CIA project. Anyone's guess. But some people believe, if you're into the spiritual trip, that these are the Watchers.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, the watches. I remember I read that in from the concept of the ancient biblical scriptures.
Right, the ancient aliens.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, I'm hearing all these different types of
You know,
theories
meaning
about it.
implications would be these are the people that would have created the technology that was used in ancient Egypt, right? And ancient Sudan, your base.
Say
If it's
what?
real, if it's
You
real,
know what I call it? I call it Nile Valley civilization. Just like what we have.
I knew it. You heard me, man. You are here just trying to get your now body civilization in check, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, Nile Valley civilization, just like Greco-Roman civilization and Indo,
Yeah.
Nile Valley civilization. That's what it is. Oh
Right.
my
So it
God!
says here, a self-described
You
beautiful
know what it looks
perspective.
like? It looks like the nuke art.
I know, right? It's crazy, right? But it's funny, right? There was actually a whole deposition by the Mexican government trying to see if this is real. This is crazy.
Did they do a genetic test?
Uh, Not yet. They didn't specify that. But what I do see interesting is that the whole country actually had a real deposition and hearing in the courts and everything. If they do a DNA test, that'll be interesting because all they have to do to prove this is not a hoax is find non-human DNA, like
Mhm.
as in a real biological DNA, just non-human. That would be very, very interesting.
Wow.
Creo que hay una
Oh
demostración
Lord,
clara de que nos encontramos ante ejemplares.
this is
By the way,
hilarious.
just so I'm specifying to people, right? This is not some dusty thing. This is an actual deposition in a
Mhm.
hearing in the court, in the high court of a Mexican government. This was presented there as a evidence of a UFO. This is crazy.
This is
No
crazy.
humanos que no tienen relación con ninguna otra especie en nuestro mundo.
Well, they found us in the desert.
Yep, yep.
It looks like ET.
Now that's where I don't believe it, right? The fact that it looks too much like ET.
It looks like nuke art. It's funny. It looks
Yeah,
like
this is
that's crazy. They had a whole.
Nos quedamos con reflexiones, con inquietudes y con la ruta
I don't
de
believe this
seguir
shit. This is
platicando
crazy.
sobre esto.
no, it's insane, but this is the official Mexican government taking this very seriously. So what are we gonna do
I
about
mean,
that, man?
what is your thoughts about that, though?
Okay, now the animal looks too close to ET, and that's where I'm feeling like it looks too similar to what we've seen in movies, right? So I'm like, nah, come on, right?
I mean,
That's it's a hoax. Good brother says that. So, hey, good brother, call in, man. Let me hit you up
he
with a
said it's
link to that. Yeah, that's actually H block. It's a long time
that's
H block.
block.
Yeah, H block.
It's a
Click the
hoax.
link. Yeah, he says,
I mean,
"Oh no, bro, it looks too as in it just
that's
sounds
hilarious.
too."
That's the most dustiest thing. I mean, get on H Block. I haven't talked to you for a while. I hope to hear from you.
Yeah, get on H block.
It's Congress approved proposed aerospace protection laws. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. It's
I mean,
Congress.
my whole thing with the UFO thing, I mean, if I'm not saying they're not real or whatnot, because I think Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Mhm.
You know who he is? I know you do.
Come on, bro. Are you asking me if I know Neil deGrasse Tyson is?
Hey, you ever
Well,
watch?
what
You
the
ever watch?
hell, bro?
No, you ever watch his show?
Yeah, I've seen his show with that other guy who was like a little bit more of a normie, but still very intuitive. And yeah, I know.
Oh, I mean, it's more like a. I mean, he's more like a sidekick. He's more like a. What do you call it?
Yeah, like a sidekick, yeah, guy.
He makes the show kind of funny and fun.
Yeah, it makes it more interesting to watch. Yeah.
Right. He asks some good questions sometimes, though. I mean, his
True,
contribution.
actually, yeah.
Huh?
You're right.
But he said, I don't think Neil to believe in the UFOs. His argument is, if they exist, why haven't we spotted them from our satellites? We have space telescopes out in space now.
Yeah.
And why haven't we seen them there? Some people have, an illusion that these are, what do you call it, a different form of life.
Okay.
Where they, what's the term they use? Multidimensional beings.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm hearing that these creatures, you know what I mean? Because like a lot of these UFOs, you spot them and then sometimes they disappear. And it has the same similarities to if we really, really do some introspection as far as human history.
Yeah.
A lot of similarities to spirits and ghosts.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They appear and then they disappear. So some people draw that conclusion that it's a similar source, but these beings are doing it to suit our times.
Right. I see.
They're always here, or what they call the watchers. But they suit our time. I mean, here's the thing. Like some people draw this conclusion. I was watching these Christian groups. He's a Christian scientist or whatnot. He said every time, with these beings, like he said, whenever the human race were ignorant about something, they would say they came from the moon. Then we started getting, we started progressing in our science, and we started, observing the moon and finally landed the moon. And then they would say they're from Venus. Now we know that there's no life to support Venus. Now they say they're from another galaxy or something like that.
Oh, I see. So it's
Right.
always changing the goalpost. Changing the goalpost.
Exactly. Are they the same creatures that we've been dealing with for thousands of years? That's a good question.
That's an interesting question, yeah.
So that's a very, very good question.
Now, do you think that to build, let's say, the pyramids, that we needed specialized intelligence and technology?
That's a very, very good question. I mean, because when people look at the pyramids, they only look at the one in the three pyramids in Cairo. In Cairo.
Yeah, exactly.
Not knowing that there's other different pyramids that was built. Even before the three pyramids, the pyramids, the Dashur, So I think it was human ingenuity that did it. I mean, we always think that we are to know all, to be all of everything. The people back then was just as smart as the people back now. I mean, you always had a certain group of people who were very, very intelligent, like yourself, versus the rest of society.
And you, right? And the rest of society.
Right. You had Hoptep. He was a doctor, an architect.
Yeah.
He had many different fields.
Yep.
So you always had that group of people who were the innovators, of society. And then you had different classes along the warrior classes, and then you had everybody else. I mean, what's your take on it?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. For example, right? If you're looking at this whole specific thing, there's always been great people. Now, these great people, where did they get the knowledge from? To me, that's where I'm sort of trying to figure out the missing link. Did they get it from a supernatural source, aka non-terrestrial force? Because at the end of the day, right, supernatural just means, you know, above the what we understand as natural, right? But if
Right.
it's extraterrestrial, to us, we might be too low IQ that we think that means supernatural. So yeah,
Right.
100%. I think there is a link to I say divinity, right? Or at least what we understand as divinity, etc. So we got to be very careful how we interpret this whole situation. So yeah, 100%. Moon landings.
Oh
You
my
look at
God.
all that stuff. Like if you again, people listen to the show afterwards, right? And also now, you got to look at this situation logically, right? What do you think happens when humans advance in technology significantly in just a decade, 10 years? I don't know. I just think it's a little bit too convenient.
Oh, I see what you're saying, that we got this technology from another source.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very good question. In regards to the moon landing is pretty much interesting because I go back and forth with people, even in real life, in regards to it. Like some people don't believe we landed on the moon. I'm like,
Interesting.
yeah. I mean, even some people on this platform, I think Mo didn't believe it. He didn't even believe
Oh
we ever
yeah.
did to a space station. I said, Mo, only thing you have to do is get some binoculars, find out the coordinates as far as where that station is going to be, across
Right.
where you're at in England. Then you will see the International Space Station. It's only about 200 and something miles up.
Yeah.
you know, so you have that, and and those people who believe that the Earth is flat. That movement, which kind of like drive me crazy. It just drive me crazy hearing people thinking that the Earth is flat. It's something else. But as far as our technology coming from another source, we getting it.